Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Cognitive Recalibration podcast. As always, I'm your host, Sravan. We've got Tarun here with us.
Hello, everyone.
And we're reviewing another cinematic masterpiece today, Kraven the Hunter.
We haven't recorded for a while, but we came back specially for this one.
Yes.
It's so good.
Yes, we just had to talk about this one because it's so special. A bit of background on the film. It's directed by J.C. Chandor. Do you know what he's done in the past?
No. I might have. I think he's done TV stuff.
Have you seen the movie Triple Frontier on Netflix?
Oh, yeah. Apparently it's not bad.
He also did Margin Call in 2011, All Is Lost in 2013, and A Most Violent Year in 2014. So it's starring Aaron Taylor Johnson and other people. Russell Crowe's in it.
Russell Crowe.
It's about the character Kraven the Hunter from the Spider-Man comics. When did Kraven first appear in comics?
Spider-Man.
When? I know you.
I think he's a Stan Lee.
Yeah.
So
he's one of the originals.
60s. Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the originals. So he debuted in the comics in issue number 15 of Amazing Spider-Man, which was in August of 1964.
Yeah.
So he's one of the OG Spider-Man's villains. But this is part of this Sony Spider-Man...
Sony Pictures of Marvel characters. Is that it?
I think I think that's what it was called, and now it's called Sony Spider-Man Universe, I think.
Okay.
I think it's just SSU.
Well, it doesn't matter because it's dead.
Well, this should be the last one, I think. I think this is the last one. So we've had, the other masterpieces in this universe have been the Venom trilogy, Morbius, Madam Web, and then this.
We told one of our friends that we watched this. We watched this and we went to a wedding like the day after. We told him we watched it and he's like, "Oh, how was it?" And we're like, "Really bad." He's like, "Oh, why'd they do that?" And that question really stuck with me. Like, why'd they do that? And then, like that's all I've been thinking about. Like, why'd they do that?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of unanswered questions. Yeah, like why did they make Madam Web?
Yeah. Well, I think it is. If we talk about it for a little bit, I think it is. Obviously, in the early 2000s / late 90s, Marvel was going under the comics company, so they sold their Spider-Man characters to Sony, and they stole their X-Men and Fantastic Four characters to Fox, to basically make money. But as part of the deal, Sony has to make Spider-Man movies. Otherwise, they lose the rights and they go back to
Disney. Or Disney now, yeah.
And I guess they've got into this weird thing where they've got the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies that are in the Marvel Universe and they do well, so they don't want to touch them. But they also have to make movies, otherwise they lose the rights.
So the Tom Holland movies don't count because they're co-produced?
No, they count. But there is, if you remember, the last Spider-Man movie was quite a while back.
2021.
Yeah. And they didn't sign a new deal with Tom Holland, so it was up in the air.
Yeah.
Until relatively recently. So if they didn't make some of these movies and Tom Holland didn't sign on, then they might have lost the rights.
Yeah, okay.
So they
have to make a certain number of films within a certain amount of time, because they've had like 3 this year.
Yeah, they've actually they've recently changed the agreement. Yeah, so now they have to make it in a certain budget, which it has to be a high budget movies. They can't just make Madam Web.
Was that was that after this movie? Because
it was after Madam Web.
After Madam Web. So this movie, I mean, it's not a cheap film. The budget was 110 to 130 million. And I think Madam Web was less than that.
They're all relatively cheap. Yeah. And I think when it comes down to it, I don't think you can blame a director or an actor for a movie like this. I think the executives think if you make something Spider-Man related, it's going to be as successful as a Spider-Man movie. Like, why isn't Madam Web as successful as Spider-Man? That they would be like, oh, it should be the same amount of success. It's Spider-Man. It's all Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And they probably don't understand. Well, they've probably never read a comic or like never watched a TV show.
Yeah.
So they don't know.
And also these movies are meant to be about the origin stories of the villains, but none of them are actually villains.
Yeah. Like in the end of it, like we could get into this movie, but this guy, I don't. He doesn't really do any villainous things in this in this movie.
Box office, I don't think I need to tell you because it's been a couple of weeks since it's come out. It's not doing well. So overall, worldwide, it's at 30 million.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be the least successful.
The thing is, no one cares about these movies.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
A lot of people didn't even know it came out. So
Yeah.
it was just, we're like, oh, we watched Kraven. And they're like, oh, it's already out.
Yeah.
In terms of our thoughts
This
on
movie
it,
was in production for ages.
Yeah,
This
so
movie
it
was in
was-
production for like 3 years.
it was delayed quite a bit. So it was meant to come out like last year, I think.
Yeah.
And then it got delayed by a year. Well, it was meant to come out earlier this year as well. And then it got delayed.
Delayed again.
Yeah. What are I guess we're getting into our thoughts on it. What were your thoughts on the film?
It's the same as every other one of these Sony what comes up at the start. It's
In association
in
with.
association with Marvel. As soon as you see that, you just leave the theater because it's it's bad. It's the same. Like the problems with this is probably very similar to the problems with Madam Web and Morbius. The Venom movies are slightly better, but only slightly. But there's lots of ADR dialogue in this where they just show, it's in every one of these movies for some reason. They show the back of someone's head and then it's a recorded dialogue in the back, probably because they didn't know what they were recording when they shot it.
Or they changed it.
They changed it afterwards. Yeah. And it happens in like nearly every scene that they show the back of someone's head and then they're talking. And it's very clearly ADR.
Yeah,
You can tell because they're like talking like they're on a podcast.
yeah, exactly.
I thought the only thing in this that slightly elevated it was some of the action's okay. And I guess they do introduce some comic characters, but to what end? And even Aaron Taylor Johnson, who's good in everything, was just not great in this. Other than the action, everything in this is peak boring. Like whenever they talk, it is so boring.
Yeah, I think in general it's just boring.
Yeah.
There's I knew this was going to be bad, so I wasn't going in thinking this is going to be good. But I wanted it to at least be funny, like so bad that it's funny, but it's not.
It's just
Like
boring.
I think a lot of these movies, like even Morbius and Madam Web, like people treat them like they're like so bad that it's good type thing. But
Madam Web is.
probably. Yeah, that
but
was
Morbius
is not.
Morbius is just boring.
Yeah. I think this is Morbius level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's nothing else. Like the visuals aren't great. The origin story is not really that.
It's not really. It's not interesting, or it's not comic accurate. So they did neither. I guess if you're going to change it from what it is in the comics, at least make it interesting.
And it was kind of rushed. Like it was rushed, but also slow at the same time. Like there was stuff happening, but not a lot was happening at the same time. So the story wasn't really progressing, but there were scenes, I guess. Yeah. There's not much else to say. Like, it's just not. It kind of just. Hopefully, it should be the end of this universe. I think. I don't think that.
I think they announced it. They're not doing it anymore.
Yeah, that's it. So, I don't know if this movie ever had potential to actually be good. Like, as Kraven the character, could you actually do a good?
I don't think you could do these movies without at least having Spider-Man in it. You could do a movie that is centered on Kraven, but still have Spider-Man in it.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't need to be in it a lot. He could be in it for 10 minutes, but have him be like a side character and have Kraven be the main character.
Yeah.
And that's a way to make it interesting. But to not even have Spider-Man in the universe and it's just a guy that gets bitten by a lion in the end. And that's...
I feel like this could have been like a generic action movie without the Spider-Man like references.
Yeah.
And just be like some random movie that like straight to Netflix random
superhero movie that they make. Definitely. Yeah. It's got the graphics of a straight to Netflix movie as well.
So it also has the character Rhino in it, which you might have seen in the trailer, and it's also got some other characters in it that they introduce later.
So that whole last 20 minutes of the movie is also reshot.
Oh, okay.
So that wasn't originally in the movie.
What was meant to be the end of the movie?
Don't know. So this is a slight spoiler. No one gives a shit about this movie anyway. But the Rhino was never going to be in this movie. The guy playing the Rhino was going to be in this movie, and he's going to say, "I'm the Rhino." But the actual, do you know when he transforms into the Rhino?
Yeah.
That was never going to be in this movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
So they added that in.
they were going to do a sequel with Rhino, like when he actually turns into Rhino.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
At least they changed that. At least they've got a guy called the Rhino and he actually turns into the Rhino.
Yeah.
If they did a movie where they've got a guy called the Rhino who never turns into the Rhino, then
well, that would be pretty random if you just said, "I'm the Rhino."
Yeah.
They're like, okay.
it's weird because they try and be comic accurate, but they're also very uncomic accurate. I don't think you can blame any of the actors or the director or anyone part of this movie for it. It's the executive's fault.
I don't think there's much else we can say about this without. We can do some spoilers because there's some things I want to discuss in spoilers, but obviously we don't recommend this. No one's going to watch this anyway. No one has watched this. So yeah, just don't even worry about it. People are probably going to forget this even exists, like in like a year that this movie even was made. Some spoilers. Calypso's in this, played by Ariana DeBose, Oscar-winning actress.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wasted. Yeah. Most of her dialogue's actually ADR in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I found it funny how every scene that she's in, they have to constantly say her name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like multiple times. Like the first scene that she's introduced as a kid.
It's because people forget she's in this movie.
They're
like, who's she again? Yeah.
Calypso. Yeah. They keep saying her name for some reason. And I just found like the whole flashback sequence, like, it is kind of funny actually when you think about it in retrospect. Like they introduce her character, like immediately they show these cards, and then like the next scene she meets him.
Yeah.
And like the grandma gives her like a vial of like some serum.
Magic with cocaine or something. I don't
something.
know. Yeah.
And she puts it into him. Like so he gets mauled by a lion. This is his origin story. He gets mauled by a lion. He somehow ends up meeting Calypso, who somehow has this vial that she got like 5 minutes ago, and she puts that in him, and he gets powers.
Yeah,
yeah, that's his origin story.
In one part of this movie, they're like, "Oh, an assassin that uses the powers of the animals of the wild to kill his prey." I'm like, no, he doesn't. Just stabs people. What do you mean? He uses the powers of animals. He doesn't do any of that. He just stabs people.
There is a part where he's like walking in a snowstorm and he sees a wolf.
Yeah, and he just looks at it and
looks
walks
at the
away.
Wolf, and he like gets like his eyes turn like brown or something.
Yeah.
Like they look like a lion's eyes, and then the wolf's like, oh, he's a lion, and he walks away.
Yeah.
So he kind of does have animal powers because he can turn his eyes into.
But he's not an assassin that uses the power. At no point do you see him assassinate anyone using the powers of an animal.
Yeah, not really.
No. Yeah.
He can jump around a bit though.
He jumps around.
Yeah, like he can climb a building and stuff.
He can smell stuff.
He smells some guy's perfume.
Cigarette, was it?
No, I think it was perfume.
No, it was a Turkish cigarette.
Was it?
The part where they kidnap his brother, it was a cigarette. Yeah.
No. You know when they walk into like.
Oh yeah, that part was a perfume. Yeah.
He walks into like a bar or something, and then.
Yeah. He says nice perfume or whatever.
Perfume.
Yeah.
And
but that could mean anything. I don't know why. Like,
why does his girlfriend suddenly hate him because he's
got perfume on?
Well, like this guy thinks he's got perfume on.
Yeah.
So, like
just some random bloke.
Yeah.
The part when he goes into the snowstorm and sees the wolf, there's this pilot in this movie that shows up like 2 times. They never show her face.
You never know who she is.
Yeah, she talks. I thought there was going to be a reveal of some kind of who she is. There isn't though.
She never comes back.
No, they just don't show her face. And like, I thought there was going to be a backstory about how they meet or something. No. Yes.
It's just some random pilot that flies him around the world.
Yeah.
Russell Crowe. So he's the dad of Kraven. He's got a Russian accent in this one. I guess Russell Crowe just does movies with accents now because he had like was it a Greek accent in Thor, Love and Thunder?
He should stop doing comic book movies because they're not good.
Yeah. Well, the ones he's in,
Yeah.
He keeps saying like Kraven's brother is weak.
Yeah.
and like be a man. Like that's all his dialogue is, just that. It's like, be a man, you're weak. And he says something to the bad guy. So the rhino dude, he gets introduced in the flashback like with one dialogue. He's like got asthma or something. He's got like breathing problems.
Yeah.
And like Russell Crowe's like, you're weak. And that's what spurs his origin story to become Rhino.
Yeah.
Which all happens off screen. So you don't even know how he gets these powers. Like you just see him and he's got him.
They do reference the guy, the jackal.
The jackal.
That's the guy that gives him the powers.
Ah.
I forget his name. He says he went to some doctor, remember? And he says, yeah. And then the guy, the brother at the end goes to the same doctor.
Well, he said he goes to someone in, I thought it was Osborne, but
no,
yeah,
it's the same guy. Yeah.
Cool.
The jackal, yeah.
Yeah, because the brother, so at the end, it's
just throughout the whole movie, they're like, "Oh, this guy's a chameleon." It's like, "Oh, this guy can change his voice. He's such a chameleon."
I don't think that makes you a chameleon if you can change your
they
voice.
Just got really bad ADR throughout the movie where he'll imitate someone's voice, but they just put that guy's voice over him.
Yeah. It's obviously not his, like when you see him talking, it's
not his voice.
It's obviously not his voice.
Yeah.
So he's anyway, they keep saying he's a chameleon, just like they keep saying the girl is Calypso, and and at the end of the movie, he's chameleon.
Which is no surprise if you know the comic characters, and if you don't know the comic characters, it's complete like, random. What the hell is this? Yeah.
Also, the CGI on him when he turns into chameleon,
so bad. Yeah.
At the end,
and then he turns into like this little Aaron Taylor Johnson. Yeah. Like there's a big Aaron Taylor Johnson, and then there's like this skinny Aaron Taylor Johnson, and they talk to each other.
And then he turns around and he turns into chameleon for a bit, and then that's it. It's never going to come back because they're never going to reference this movie again.
If you don't know what the comic characters are like and you watch that,
so chameleon
must be the most random thing ever. Like, what is going on?
So chameleon is Kraven's brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the movie, they're all surprised that he's called Kraven. They're like, oh,
his surname's like
as if this guy's called Kraven. But his surname's Kravenov.
Yeah. So it's just, I mean, he's just shortening his surname. Yeah. Now, I also thought there'd be a twist in this movie
where he turns evil.
Well, that would have been good because he's meant to be a villain.
But he doesn't. Yeah.
I thought the twist would be that the brother was the one that was trying to hunt him down.
Oh, okay.
So it would have actually made sense because he leaves his brother when they're kids with his dad, and his dad's like, well, his dad doesn't really like him anyway. He doesn't like his brother. He doesn't really like either of them, but he really doesn't like his brother. So I thought he would have, tried to get revenge on Kraven and tried to hunt him down.
Doesn't, yeah.
So I thought that would have been the twist, but that's not the twist.
The plot is there's no twist in the plot. Yeah,
there's no twist, yeah.
There is some guy called the foreigner, though. Who just counts.
So his power is he counts to 3 and then... like time freezes or something, and then
which can be interesting.
Yeah,
but he just gets shot in the eye.
That's how he dies
by Calypso.
Yeah. That's how he dies. Yeah. Might have actually been interesting. There is a character called the Foreigner in the comics, but apparently
it's the same character.
But the powers are completely different. Apparently,
no, it's the same.
Is he?
Yeah. Well, he doesn't count to 3. If you look into his eyes, then he can like hypnotize you, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
Which it's not really explained in the movie properly.
Yeah.
It just looks like he counts to 3 and then he walks behind people. But if you look into his eyes, he can hypnotize you.
Kind of creepy.
If you look into his eyes, he can hypnotize people.
Yeah.
And then it seems like he's moving really fast.
He's in like 3 scenes. He kills like a couple of people.
And they get shot in the eye.
Yeah. There's also a scene where they had to show that this is linked to Spider-Man. So there's a scene where Kraven hallucinates and he sees spiders for a bit.
And he's scared of spiders, apparently. Which is odd for a guy that lives in the jungle where clearly there would be lots of spiders that he's scared of spiders. But yeah, fair enough.
He also gets attacked by like a panther or something in between at one stage. They're like friends.
Leopard?
So in the comics, he's got like a big cat, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Like he walks around with like a leopard or something.
I think it's a leopard. Yeah.
So I think that was a reference to that. He's got like a
And the line at the start is the line that is normally on his chest.
yes.
But also, he's not a hunter in this movie. He hunts people,
He hunts people,
but he doesn't hunt animals. Which,
Yes. That's what
if
he's
you know
meant to do.
Kraven, the
Yeah.
comic character, that's kind of what he does.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
why he essentially hunts Spider-Man, because Spider-Man's like a spider.
The
so
greatest prey.
not comic book accurate and not interesting. So
Yeah, ticks both boxes. It's better than Madam Web, but I would rather watch Madam Web than
I'd
this.
probably I
Yeah.
think so. Madam Web's just funnier than
Yeah.
this. This is just not funny enough. It can be bad, but just make it funny.
This is boring.
At the end, I guess he turns bad. Like
I don't know if he does though. He just puts on a jacket. Also, that was the first promotional image they released. Was that image right at the end?
It's the last thing you see in the movie.
Yeah.
He gets his dad mauled by a bear.
Yeah,
I'm like
that was pretty funny.
I feel like he would have killed his dad like earlier. Like, why is his dad like alive for the whole movie? He obviously doesn't like him, and it takes him so long for him to kill him. So anyway, he kills his dad, and his dad leaves him like the lion thing, the lion's mane. He wears it, and then he's bad.
Yeah,
because his dad says like,
I don't know if he's bad. Well, I don't know.
He looks into the mirror, and
there is nothing in this movie that would turn him bad. There's no character arc. He's the same as he was at the start as he is at the end.
Well, his dad says something like you're born to hunt and be a man.
Writes it in a letter though. How does that change him?
Convinces him.
He puts on a jacket and sits down. That's all that happens.
That's it. Yeah, that's enough for him to. Yeah, and that's there's no post credit scene. That's what they end with.
Yeah,
I guess the what makes you anticipate the supposed next movie that they're not going to make is the chameleon reveal, but that's it.
Yeah,
amazing movie. Yeah,
I'm glad they're not making these anymore. It's better for everyone.
Yeah, I think everyone's better off.
I think what they'll do next is Miles Morales, and they'll actually make a Spider-Man movie, which
with Tom Holland.
Don't know. Maybe. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah,
there's still got the Spider-Verse movies. So,
yeah, you never know.
Do those count in the Marvel agreement? Because they've been making
Spider-Verse movies.
Yeah.
They should. Yeah. Spider-Man. Yeah.
So why are they making? They don't need to make this many movies.
I also think they think these will make money though.
Yeah.
I think they're like, oh, it's a Spider-Man movie. It'll make money. Like we made Spider-Man No Way Home and it made $1 billion. Why is Madam Web not making $1 billion?
Yeah.
It's got Spider-Man No Way Home has 3 Spider-Man, and Madam Web has 4.
Yeah.
So it should be making $4 billion.
Simple math. Yeah. Simple math.
Yeah.
Kraven's got a lion. Lions are bigger than spiders, so it should make more money. Yeah.
Spider-Man. Like, it's
Venom's a black version of
Spider-Man.
Yeah. Black's better than red.
Red, yeah.
Yeah. Black's my favorite color. It's the executive.
Yeah.
Should make more money.
I just don't think they have an idea of why people are watching these movies. Essentially, they don't know why people are watching them, and they're just making whatever.
But yeah, Miles Morales should be better, hopefully.
Well, you don't know. If they make it like this, then it won't be. Yeah. Yeah.
I think the next Spider-Verse is coming out next year, I think.
Yeah, and I think they're filming the next
Tom Holland
next year. Yeah. He's
Which
going
is
to be filming
MCU.
that. I think he releases the next Spider-Man movie and that Christopher Nolan movie. They're releasing within the same month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When's the Nolan movie coming out?
Not next year afterwards. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think there's much more we can say about Kraven. But I knew you were craving to hear this, Kraven.
Yeah.
I just had to put that in the review. Sorry. Like I've been waiting.
Just a thing. Rhino has a backpack. He just walks around with a backpack on.
Yeah.
Just thought that was funny. It's like it's like this little tiny backpack.
Yeah, it's got like some solution in it that keeps him from turning into the Rhino.
It's the Morbius liquid.
Yeah.
The Morbius blood.
Yeah. I just wanted a post-credit scene where like Morbius, Kraven, and Madam Web like
Madam Web's meant to be a good person, though.
They're all meant to be like good. I mean, they're all. Madam Web's actually meant to be good.
Yeah.
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 The rest are meant to be bad.
Yeah.
But who cares? It doesn't matter. Just put her in anyway. Cool.
Yeah, that's hopefully the end of the Sony in association with Marvel Pictures.
We never reviewed. I was going to say
Venom
Kraven.
3.
Yeah. Venom.
Which I heard is not great either. So
yeah,
it's probably better than this. But
like the Venom movies are like slightly. They're not this bad. Like,
but also I don't think they're like worth making. They're not great either. It's not like this is cinematic, like brilliance or anything.
Yeah,
they're just middling.
Again, Venom doesn't really work without Spider-Man, but they somehow sort of made it work with Tom Hardy. But
yeah,
otherwise, the rest of these don't need to be made. Okay, if people want to get in touch with us about their thoughts on Kraven the Hunter, how they go about it?
So you can contact us at all social media platforms on Cognitive Recalibration, or email us at cognitiverecalibrationpodcast@gmail.com.
We will have a couple more reviews coming out before the end of the year. We will be watching. I'm watching Lord of the Rings, that animated movie today, and then we might watch Mufasa and Sonic 3 before the end of the year, and then we'll wrap up the end of the year as well, or wrap up this year in terms of our best and worst. Cool. Thanks for joining us. Hope you had fun watching our review more than we had fun watching the movie. And we'll see you in the next one. See you later.
Yeah.